Hi everyone, it's Tanya and welcome to today's video. Prepare yourself, because in the month of January you're going to receive a lot of list contents, because I'm determined to make 2020 a good reading year. I'm determined to make it a good, productive reading year. At the same time, as I mentioned before in my reading resolutions video, which I will link up here, I don't want to buy a lot of books because I already have a lot of books which I haven't read. So I want to focus first on the books that I already have. I'm making lists of books in different categories of which I need to get to. So you will be getting a lot of reading vlog content. Majority of the content you will be getting is reading vlogs in my expectations. Hopefully you will enjoy them, hopefully you like reading vlogs. Let me know in the comments, by the way, let me know in the comments if you enjoy watching reading vlogs. Today's video is going to be a list of books. As you already know from the title, this is the list of international classics I'm going to read in 2021. It is so strange to say 2021, it's already 2021, can you imagine? So I have 11 books to show you. Well, actually I have more. I have more international classics, but these are the priorities, and I guess books that I am excited about all of the books on my shelves, to be honest. I had to narrow it down, so this is just a narrowed down list. The first classic is from Colombia, Gabriel García Márquez. I have an idea for a video series which I want to do. I will not tell you yet because I want it to be a surprise, but I have a video, series idea for videos. So I got this book, and I also have 100 Years of Solitude and Life in Time of Cholera. So I have his two other books. And I also have this one, so General in His Labyrinth. The book that I'm showing you is this beautiful edition from Every Man's Library. This is said to be one of his most political novels, and it recounts the story of this, I think it's an actual historical figure, General Simón Bolívar, the man who tried to unite the whole continent, apparently, of South America. I have never heard of this person, so it will be also educational for me to know a little bit about history of South America. So apparently this man tried to unite the whole continent, and he drove the Spanish from South America, where he is still known as the Liberator. The novel follows his final journey down the Magdalena River in 1830, revisiting the scenes of his former glory and lamenting his lost dream of an alliance of American nations. Forced from power, prematurely aged and wasted by a fatal illness, the general is still a remarkably vital and mercurial man who seems to remain alive for the sheer force of will that led him in the past to so many victories in both love and war. The General in His Labyrinth is an unforgettable portrait of a visionary from one of the greatest writers of our time. Next edition is Julio Cortázar, and I want to read his Hopscotch. So this edition also has his short stories, but my premier goal is to read Hopscotch. Hopscotch is the novel, and it's a very interesting novel because apparently it is written in the format of short chapters which the reader can read the sequence that they're printed in, but actually the author himself apparently recommended to read them out of order. So that's interesting. It's about this man from Argentina who is currently living in Paris with his lover and his bohemian friends. Later he returns back to Buenos Aires and he starts working in circus and in a mental asylum. So that's what the blurb says you. But I thought it was so interesting that you can read a novel kind of out of order of chapters. I want to try that. I want to try that, to read it out of order. We will see how it's going to go. If you read Hopscotch, let me know. Let me know if you really should read the chapters out of order, because that's what the blurb says, at least. One more edition is The Novels of Ancient Egypt by Naguib Mahfouz. And this just what it says. This is a collection of 3 short, but well, maybe not so short, novels by this Egyptian author Naguib Mahfouz, and he actually won a Nobel Prize along with Gabriel García Márquez. Actually didn't mention that he won Nobel Prize too. And these are stories about ancient Egypt's nobility, ancient Egypt's war, and also love affairs of people at that time. So the first story, Khufu's Wisdom. Khufu's Wisdom, the legendary 4th dynasty monarch, faces the prospect of the end of his rule and the possibility that his daughter has fallen in love with the man professed to be his successor. The next novel is the tragic story of the charismatic young pharaoh and his ravishing courtesan, whose love affair makes them the envy of all Egyptian society. Last novel, Thebes at War, tells the epic story of Egypt's victory over Asiatic foreigners who had dominated the country for 2 centuries. Together these novels give us a dazzling tapestry of ancient Egypt and remind us again of the remarkable artistry of Naguib Mahfouz. When I was in school, I always liked studying ancient civilizations, and especially I was very interested in ancient Egypt because they have such beautiful art. For some reason, I preferred ancient Egyptian art even to ancient Greek art, like classic art. I don't know, I guess I liked all the colors because there were, like, you know, reproductions of different frescoes, and I always really liked it, so I'm super excited to read these 3 novels. The last book from this beautiful Everyman's Library collection, which I am actually reading, well, currently, by the time when you're seeing this video I will already start reading this because I'm filming it in December, so at the end of December, so I will start. It's on my January TBR, Ficciones by Jorge Borges. It's a collection of his short stories, and this book inspired Piranesi, the book that I recently read and really loved. And that book kind of pushed me to finally pick up Ficciones. So now we go to other editions, not Everyman's Library anymore. So now the next book that I'm planning to read in 2021 is a Kenyan novel by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and this is A Grain of Wheat. The novel weaves together a set of different stories that take place during Kenya's struggle for independence. So the blurb describes it. The mighty British government has been toppled, and in the lull between the fighting and the new world, colonized and colonizer alike reflect on what they have gained and lost. In the village of Tabai, the men and women who live there have been transformed by the uprising. Kihika, legendary rebel leader, was fatally betrayed to the white men. Giko's marriage to beautiful Mumbi was destroyed when he was imprisoned, and Mugo, brave survival of the camps and now the village hero, harbors a terrible secret. So yeah, apparently there will be a few stories kind of interwoven together in this struggle for independence. So we will see. But yeah, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Next novel is by a German author. In January I am reading his Damien. Maybe I have already read it by the way you watch this video. Who knows? But yeah, Hermann Hesse. I decided that I wouldn't be able to read this book in January because it's on a longer side. This is 300 pages, so I definitely wouldn't be able to read it in one day. Hermann Hesse, Narcissus and Goldmund. This is a book set in Middle Ages, and this is like the main thing that sold it to me, because I like books set in Middle Ages. I feel like Middle Ages in Europe especially is such a fascinating period. This is also one of those periods which I really liked studying in school. So yeah, this is set in Middle Ages, and we follow 2 monks. One of them is Narcissus, who is dark and serious. The other one is Goldmund, who is sunny, childlike and reckless. Apparently they live in this monastery, but then Goldmund understands that it's not the life he wants for himself. He needs freedom, he wants to travel, he is not meant for a life of self-denial, and so he sets on a journey and he travels around Europe in search of experience, becoming entangled in the extremities of a world dominated by sin, plague, and war. And then many years later, these two friends meet again for the last time. And so it's Hesse's profound masterpiece of the imagination explores friendship, love, death, fate, and the true meaning of freedom. Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds like something right up my alley. So yeah, Hermann Hesse. This is also a year of Hermann Hesse. I have a few authors which I decided I need to read more of this year. So Hermann Hesse is one of them. It's going to be Hermann Hesse, Gabriel García Márquez, and like the author whose works I want to read like in completion this year is Gogol. So I want to read all the works by Gogol. Hermann Hesse and Gabriel García Márquez, not all works, but some of them. Then we have two Japanese classics, and we will start with Tanizaki's The Maids. This is a short novel. Could I read it in one day? Who knows? It's 170 pages. Maybe I could. So it's a shorter novel, and apparently it's in a way similar to the Makioka sisters. I still haven't read the Makioka sisters, but they're on my radar. They're very much on my radar. This short novel recounts events of Japan before Second World War, during Second World War, and after Second World War. And apparently we followed this one household of this famous Japanese writer, who's apparently like probably Tanizaki. From what I understand from the synopsis, he kind of was writing about his household. I'm not sure yet, so we will see. He is a well-known writer. His house is quite small, so all the people live very, very close together. And that's why this is a portrait of his maids, I guess. And probably just of his household. So Tanizaki offers a richly ironic self-portrait. That's why I'm saying that he was writing about himself. It's a self-portrait. Presents as well as exquisite chronicle of change and loss. Centuries-old values and manners are vanishing, and here, in the beauty of all the small gestures and intricacies of private life, we find a whole world passing away. So again, it's a novel about changes that were happening in Japan in the beginning of 20th century, with the old culture being replaced by new Western ideals and Western cultures. So super excited to read this. One more novel by Japan. I feel like he's Japan's one of the most favorite writers. Natsume Sōseki. Natsume Sōseki and his novel And Then. I finally have it. I have been looking at this novel for so long, and I finally have it in my hands. I'm super excited. This is also something about changes in Japanese society and old culture being replaced by the new one. And Then is ranked as one of Sōseki's most insightful and stirring novels. Daisuke, the protagonist, is a man in his 20s who is struggling with his personal purpose and identity, as well as social landscape of Meiji-era Japan. As Japan enters the 20th century, ancient customs give way to Western ideals, and Daisuke works to resolve his feelings of disconnection and abandonment. So again, struggles of a man living in times of change. Great. Next book is by a Korean author, and it's a Korean classics, and I'm so excited that I found this series because they publish Korean classics, and for a long time I couldn't find like a lot of Korean classics to read. Obviously, like, you hear about modern writers and modern novels, which are great, but I also wanted to read some of their older works and older novels. And then I found this series, and I'm so happy. I don't want to buy a lot of books this year, but I will buy some books from this series because they're what I needed. They are what I wanted. This particular novel is Scenes from the Enlightenment by Kim Nam-chon. And it's again about the time of change, but this time about Korean culture being replaced and Korean culture being changed by Western culture that is kind of seeping through. We follow a story of this old Korean village in the end of the 19th century. So first published in 1939, Kim Nam-chon's classic text, Through the Close quiet study of a single 19th century village tracks Korea's early development from a society bound by the rules of family, rank, and gender towards a new style Enlightenment, westernized nation complete with bicycles and newly built roads. Only one of the novels, but actually like this series has so many interesting titles, so many interesting novels and short story collections, and I'm just so excited to explore them. But yeah, I start with this one, with the first one. One more author was actually recommended to me by one of you, and I'm also super excited to read his books. It is José Saramago, a Portuguese writer who also won Nobel Prize. This particular novel caught my eye. Like I feel like I'm the most excited for this novel by him. This is the Gospel according to Jesus Christ. But it's not just like a religious text. It actually explores kind of the story of Jesus Christ from a human point of view, not from a point of view of Son of God, but if he was just a human. And so that's what the blurb says. Saramago's Jesus is the son not of God but of Joseph. Mary is his lover, not his convert. In the wilderness he tussles not with the devil, a kindly and necessary evil, but with God, a fallible, power-hungry autocrat. And he must die not for the sins of the fathers, but for the sins of the Father. By investigating the simple inversions, Saramago has woven a dark parable, a secular gospel of astonishing richness and depth. This sounds so good. This sounds so incredibly interesting. So I'm so looking forward to reading this. I have also one more novel by him, The Double. It's something about two people who look alike. Don't remember exactly the blurb, but yeah, and The Blindness. I need also to get The Blindness. So 3 novels that I want to explore by José Saramago this year. This list would not be complete if it didn't have one Iranian novel in it, because yes, I need to learn more about Iranian culture. I should learn the language, but language is a big commitment and it's a difficult one, and if you don't use the language in everyday life, then there is no actual point to learn the language. Instead of learning the whole language, I will just read the Iranian novels for now. And this is A Persian Requiem by Simin Danishvar. I have already talked about this book a lot. I have mentioned it in many of my videos, GBRs that I wanted to read, never got to it. So hopefully this year in 2021 I will finally read it. And this is a novel set in the middle of the 20th century, I think, when Iran was occupied by the British somehow. I didn't know that Iran was occupied by the British. Apparently it was. And the story takes place in Shiraz, and we follow a story of family with different characters in it. So the father actively participating in the movement against the British. His brother does the same. However, the mother of the family, she just wants to keep a quiet, peaceful life in the household, to keep all the Iranian traditions and lifestyles in her small house for her children, for herself and for her husband. However, apparently it's not always possible. So yeah, the novel should be something special, and I think I need to get it soon. Yes. So those were 11 of international classics that I really want to read in 2021. I should stop buying books, and I should just concentrate on books that I already have, because I already have so many brilliant books that I'm super excited for. So that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you also enjoy my daily vlogs currently that I'm doing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments also what books, what classics, not necessarily classics, just books you want to read in 2021. What are some of your resolutions for 2021, like reading resolutions? And thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a very good day. I hope your 2021 is starting well, on a good note, with a good mood, and I will see you soon in my next videos. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow in my reading vlog. Thank you so much. Have a very good day.